Hello, dear friends, and welcome to our daily prayer service on Kardec Video, Nourishing Our Souls Always. Today we will be taking a chapter from our daily bread, and it is chapter 15, titled Thoughts. The daily bread was written by the Spirit Emmanuel through Chico Xavier. Thoughts. As in this first section is a quotation from Paul in the Philippines. As for the rest, my brothers, in everything that is true, everything that is honest, everything that is just, everything that is pure, everything that is lovely, everything that is admirable, if there is anything virtuous and praiseworthy, think on it. So lovely Paul, who we could adopt as our guide and model as well, because he turned around his life in one lifetime in a most dramatic way, is recommending to us to think things that are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, admirable, virtuous, and praiseworthy. Thank you, Paul, for helping us. Now let's see what Emmanuel adds to it. He says, all human endeavors are the result of human thoughts. All of our endeavors are the result of human thoughts. We know from his book that Emmanuel wrote, Thought and Life, where in chapter 1 he teaches us that the mind stands as the mirror of life. As we think, we emit, and as we emit, of course we attract. So here he is putting it in different words, however meaning the same thing. All human endeavors are the result of human thought. Thought is life. Before anything else, the evil and the good, the ugly and the beautiful, lived in the mental fount that produced them in the ongoing activities of life. So he's touching on the fact that we can create both the good and the so-called evil or ignorant thoughts. The gospel, he says, lays out the generous course for the human mind to renew itself on the paths of higher spirituality, proclaiming the need for such a transformation on the way to the higher realms. The gospel, he says, is our generous course. What a beautiful choice of language. Our generous course for the human mind to renew itself. We know that our thinking determines our lives. So to renew our own lives, we are invited to renew our thoughts. And as we know that thought and feeling work together, of course the gospel also touches on our feelings. That's why we always say we need to feel the teachings and not just keep it philosophically stacked in our heads. So the gospel will help us clearly, according to Emmanuel. It is not only with the intellectual fine points of philosophy that disciples will begin their efforts to accomplish this goal. Renewing one's thought is not as easy as it may appear at first glance. And we attest to that. To change our thought patterns, to change our habitual thinking is not easy. It demands a large capacity for self-denial and profound self-control, qualities that humans cannot achieve without work and heartfelt sacrifice. So, Emmanuel is clearing this up for us. He's giving us the mechanism of how to renew our thoughts. First, he says the gospel is a generous way guiding us. And then he says, however, it's not so easy to follow the guidelines because we require several very important ingredients. One is self-denial and profound self-control. And these qualities we will not achieve without work and sacrifice. So what will help us in this process of self-control and self-denial? Well, first we're reminded of the will, because Emmanuel teaches us that the will is the boss of our thinking. It's just like our mind is a corporation with many, many departments, he says in Thought and Life. So the one that's the manager is our will. And in order for our will to be activated towards the good, the will needs to be educated. And how does the will get educated best? There is two wings, he says. One is the knowledge wing, where we accumulate information, and the second one is the service wing, the love wing, where we put the teachings into practice. And our will, which will eventually be educated along those lines, will help us direct our thinking. And it will help us to control our passions, because it is often our passions that are per se not negative. Passions are neutral. They can actually be very good. I don't want to say passions are neutral. They can serve us. They can be serving us to do the good. However, if we don't educate our will to control our passions like a wild horse, our minds, our passions will run wild and leave a path of destruction behind itself. And we know that when wild horses run wild, they can do quite a bit of damage. So we need to learn to rein in our passions, and we do that through an educated will. And for that, during that process, we will be applying self-denial and self-control. So now, how do we know we're on the right path, that we're controlling our thinking towards the good? With the help of our will. What is the test that we can apply for that? Well, the best way is to check and see whether our thoughts cause us harm or anyone else. The minute they cause any harm, either towards us, our own selves, or others, we know we're in dangerous territory. And that means we need to regroup and work a little bit harder and in controlling our thinking. Now, what is the main ingredient? It's self-denial. So if we use, the remedy is self-denial. And again, we do that by educating our will and reining in our passions. That will be the recipe for success. Thank you, Emmanuel, for making it so clear to us. Then he says, thus, many servants of Christ just change the words they use, believing that they have reformed their thoughts. However, at recapitulating retentive experiences, when circumstances repeat themselves, they once again encounter the same troubles as before, because obstacles and darkness have remained in their minds like hidden phantoms. So he's touching on a very important aspect, because many of us may know the scriptures, so to speak, the gospel well, the teachings really well, that we can pay them lip service, which means we're using golden words with a golden tongue. However, in the privacy of our homes, we may not be as pure. Our thoughts might be shooting darts. Our thoughts might be dark, and they may cause harm to our own selves and others. So the first step is to learn to control our words. However, what's behind the words is our thinking. And so Emmanuel urges us to not just speak well, but to match it up, to be coherent, to match it up with our well-conditioned, positive, beautiful, virtuous thoughts. To think is to create, he says. And we've heard before that we can't, once we think, there is no eraser pad available. Once it's thought, our thought is thought, it's out there, and it cannot be erased. And Emmanuel is now confirming this. To think is to create. And once it's thought, we create it. Every thought puts a seed into our gardens of eternity. And we are the ones who are the lucky winners and reaping the harvest. So we better make sure we put beautiful seeds in our gardens. with every single thought. The manifestation of this creation may not play itself out all at once in the arena of transitory effects, but the object formed by the power of the mind lives in the inner world, demanding special attention for the endeavor of continuity or extinction. So we need effort and repetition for us to learn what we are creating via our thoughts. Paul's advice to the Philippians displays sublime content. Disciples who are able to comprehend its profound essence, who heed it each and every day by trying to see the true, honest, just, pure, and lovely side of all things, will have discovered the divine formula. So what is the divine formula? It is following Paul's advice, and that is seeing the true, honest, just, pure, and lovely side of everything. And with this way, we will have discovered the divine formula. So if we're caught in a loop of negativity, what is a good gateway for us to change it? First, we know science has already taught us we need to replace one thought with another and one feeling with another. There is one little hint, one little gateway that will help us to shift our thoughts towards the good, to see the good in everything. And that is gratitude. The minute we have a dark thought and feeling despair, if we shift our focus looking for the gratitude, looking for the things in our lives that we can be grateful for. And there is always a whole bunch of things to be grateful for, because we are surrounded, immersed by a loving God and beautiful, loving spirits always present and on our side, helping us, ready to rescue us and support us. Dear friends, let us close with a prayer. I invite you to close your eyes if you can, and let us stay connected with God, the first cause of all things, the supreme intelligence in this universe, our loving, just, and merciful God. And let us also consciously connect and say hello to Jesus, our beloved guide and model, who came to earth to model to us of how to become a more conscious human being, helping us with our thoughts, bringing the gospel to us so we can educate ourselves and practice the teachings. And we're also connecting to Mother Mary with so much gratitude, as she is diligently supporting the spirits most in need in this universe. And we're sending our love, our crumbs of love and light towards all those on planet Earth, both incarnated as well as around planet Earth on a discarnate level, to receive support in their suffering. To remember that through suffering, we will undo past wrongs. And it is through suffering that we often connect to God more deeply, or sometimes for the first time. Suffering is to our own benefit, always. And we're thanking everyone, both incarnated as well as discarnated, in supporting us, allowing us to gather, allowing us to pray daily, to nourish our souls, to read the books and practice the teachings. We're feeling the love, and the love feels good. And with this, we're closing today's prayer circle. And so be it, dear friends. Thank you so much for joining. I see so many lovely friends. Thank you all for being here. Much love, and we'll see you tomorrow at the next prayer service. Take care.